So, hello, friends, for joining us online. And with me at the front here, we have Rodney, Rodney Teo, who's a corporate finance lawyer who joined us on the trip. And then we have Herman Zhe, who's from Invest Hong Kong, also joined us on the trip. And Philip Kwok, who also joined us on the trip. And actually in the room, I must take this opportunity to thank His Excellency Consul General Bahi Swawaski. Shiwaki. Please come out and say hi to everybody. Yes. Consul General from Egypt. And it's Vice Consul General. Yes. You want to say hello? Yes. Thank you so much. We wouldn't be here today if not for you two and our friends from South Africa. Thank you all. Please take a seat. Please take a seat. And I'll also ask members of the delegation who went with us to please say hi to everybody. With Bill Tong here. This is Bill Tong. With Albert De Rosa. Yes. With Albert Leung from Ibrahim. See who else on that side. We have Locke. Or Locke White. Locke. And then, let's see. Some are joining us from online. You know Jolie, of course. Jolie is indispensable. But anyway, Jolie is on the line, calling up one of you who's online over there, I think. But anyway, thank you all for coming. I'm Nick Chen, Director of AALCO Hong Kong Regional Arbitration Center. In the room also, we have our Deputy Director, Dennis. Thank you. Give all yourself a big hand, really. Thank you all for coming, making time to join us today. Thank you. I have to thank the government, PASS, PESS. PASS have given us some tremendous support to allow us to, together with the Law Society of Hong Kong, the Bar Association of Hong Kong, and Invest Hong Kong, and the two countries, to allow us to have this great trip. And the Vice President of Law Society just came in. Amirali, come in. You feeling okay? Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Okay, so without further ado, what we want to do today, what we want to achieve is first to share what we've learned, and we've learned a lot, plenty. We see a lot of opportunities. We, as AALCO, many of you know AALCO stands for Asian African Legal Consultative Organization. AALCO started in 1956, and now, after so many years, we have 48 countries as our member states. And we are here to promote growth and better living standards. Just now, as you walked out, you probably saw friends from Unijot who came over to talk about the development of unification of private law around the world. How sometimes, apart from having your own law in your jurisdiction, whether for contract law, for example, it's better to have a unified law so you don't argue over it. You might manage to sign a contract with your law as a governing law, but at the end, in terms of interpretation in courts, you might see some resistance. Is that better? Is that worse? Anyway, this is maybe a discussion for another day, but let's come back to the main subject of today. We were in Egypt, in particular Cairo, which to us, first time to Africa, is the northern tip of Africa continent. We went right on, not by, but on the Suez Canal. And we went to Suez Canal Economic Zone. We see ample opportunities. So what we're going to do is I propose that rather than me doing all the talking, we would maybe start with the people who went on the trip, would share what they personally learned. Myself and maybe Consul General and do a wrap-up at the end, if that's okay with everybody. It's a very hectic trip. Some people tell us some other organization, they go to visit two places a day. And my delegates are saying, really good, but we went to see 6 places in a day. It's a little bit packed. So I will learn and do better next time. But it's really fruitful and useful. Egypt is, correct me if I'm wrong, Consul General, I'm reading. Answer here. Yeah. It is, if you go there, you see it is the cradle of the world's civilization. It is also the heart and the culture of that part of the world, connecting not just Africa, but the Arab world, and they have many special arrangements with Europe and other parts of the world. Where and what strikes me also is the warmth of the people, the opportunities extended to us, and the abundance of labor, compared to what we have here, and the friendliness. And they have also gone through Arab Springs. We have gone through the events in 2019. There is a shared understanding about the rule of law in the world. So I have a full confidence that as we do business with Egypt, with businesses in Egypt, you will get fair treatment. Because when you do investments, it's really about stable government, and they have a very stable government. Long culture, people who respect law and are welcoming. So plenty of opportunities, a lot of things to buy and sell to each other. And I would encourage us to use Egypt as a place to leapfrog, to invest in that part of the world and work together. These are please
share more this photo, because that's my first time to see this photo. For us and for me personally, if you it would be appreciated if you could promote more this photo, just to tell everybody there about the culture of Egypt and the ancient Egyptian civilization, because nobody knows about that photo in particular. So please, if you want to just to shed the light more on the touristic part of your trip.
Yes.
Not only the business and
Thank you.
the arbitration, but
Certainly.
the touristic part, please.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm a big history buff. Friends who know me, I love history. Every place I go to a museum. So I drag everyone with me. But I'm sure they love it too. We have we were very privileged. With help from Consul General, we have a special access to places that other people can't go into. I think it would be really great to bring some mummies to Hong Kong, no, because a lot of history. It's not just looking at that person, or body in front of you, but it's really about also learning about the culture, the history. What different Ramses have achieved, over a different period of time, and what Egypt have gone through.
Yeah, I'm here just to share the good news. We're working on to bringing the expo of Shanghai. It's currently there.
Yes.
To bring it here in Hong Kong.
Oh, the expo is in Shanghai. Bring it
by
in Hong Kong.
by next summer, hopefully. So
yes.
We'll have the Ancient Egyptian Expo here soon in Hong Kong, hopefully.
Fantastic. Thank you. Yay. That is the first time ever in Hong Kong, isn't it?
Yes. And this is big scale, yeah.
Yes.
It was one, I think, in 2017 here, and that was held here in Hong Kong. But it was in that small.
Yes.
But the one now is in Shanghai. Is very big.
Yes.
King Ramses II there, and the mummies there.
Yes.
So we're working with the Palace Museum to bring it here in Hong Kong.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah. So we saw from the photo that 17 of us. There are lawyers, business people, legislative councillor, congressman, and so on. And with Invest Hong Kong, we really dare to explore. In terms of this photo, I would say we feel very lucky to be able to go so close to the Sphinx. It's definitely worth a visit, not just once in a lifetime, but many times in a lifetime. Definitely worth it. Highly recommend it. We bought some pyramids home. No, replica. Yeah, they were quite kind. It's in some countries you might expect, if you haven't been there, they say a particular price, you might have to bargain a lot of times, but it was very fair price. We didn't really need to bargain. So yeah, go there, have a bit of fun. We also went up to near here. There are 3 pyramids, and we walked into some, and walked around some, and had lunch in a very picturesque, or more like a afternoon tea at that special cafe you mentioned.
Yes.
Amazing. Maybe next time we show some of those fun pictures. We're picking up 2 pyramids. Okay. So if I may, they're building the they're moving and building the big National Museum. Yeah. But we went to another one, which is fantastic. And encourage you to go and learn about the many history, of our civilization. You all know about the Suez Canal. How many goods pass through the Suez Canal in terms of global trade? 12%. 12% of global trade pass through the Suez Canal. If you have to do, improve economy, you have to trade with people. And the volume of trade, the biggest volume of trade is by sea, not by air, not by train. It is by sea. 12% goes through of all global trade goes through the Suez Canal, and that's why I learned the Suez Canal have been attacked again and again by foreigners, and with excuses. But anyway, so Professor Zhao, if you could hear us.
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfect. Over to you.
Yeah, okay. So I think this, of course, I think it's a very eye-opening trip to Egypt and South Africa. So basically, we have had the opportunity to meet a lot of high-level officials and also ICC members and also other parties. First of all, we have the stop in Egypt, Cairo. I understand. I think first of all, we'll talk about the Suez Canal economic zone. This is a very cozy meeting. We have the opportunity to hear the views from the delegates from the Suez Canal economic zone. And of course, when we look into the Hong Kong situation and Egypt's situation, there are quite a lot of similarities. In particular, when we look into the maritime trade transportation, with Mr. Lian Junli talked about the Hong Kong's advantages in the maritime arbitration. I echo the views of Mr. Lian Junli, and further, I look into wide areas of transportation, including the maritime and airport transportation. We can note that Hong Kong or Greater China areas have already developed not collectively in the dispute resolution for maritime disputes and also air transportation disputes. We can find out that there are quite a lot of important initiatives that were taking place in mainland China and Hong Kong. In particular, when we look at the ways that the dispute resolution was conducted. For example, Shanghai Arbitration Commission set up the Civil Aviation Arbitration Commission. I know.
It's one of those live action movie. We'll go back to him in a bit. Okay. So Suez Canal economic zone. You've heard about 12% of global trade pass through the Suez Canal. So what's new? I mean, we have northern metropolis here, right? So what about Egypt? They have this really good place to manufacture and do business. They attract and give us a lot of special privileges and tax incentives and all, called the Suez Canal Economic Zone. So we all went there, and we were welcomed by the whole team of the Suez Canal Economic Zone.
Yeah,
so
the chairman and all the senior members. Yeah, I'm Ronnie Teo. Nice to meet you all. And I'm a corporate finance lawyer. So I'm always looking ways to help my clients to access funds and also do business overseas, and also always exploring ways to venture into to overseas and set up expansions. So SC zone is very interesting to me because it's a way to facilitate overseas expansion. And we got this from SC zone, which is basically a map. Yeah, I mean, it's very clear that they got the hardware here. They are one of the most busy.
Wait. So the white bit is the land, and the gray bit is the canal, and the blue bits are the zones. So the zones are not next to each other, but along the strategic areas along the Suez
they
Canal.
got 6 main ports and also 4 industrial zones. So it's a very fascinating area where we really want to explore the initiatives. So yeah, they talk about a lot of things. The fact that they got a really big area. We are talking about 455 square kilometers. So yeah, it's a a big piece of land which we can utilize and also do investment. Of course, they also talk about like the target sectors, the four main services, logistics, and then vocational training, etc., etc. They also talk about the 17 target industry, like a lot of things like green energy and then manufacturing, textile, etc. So yeah, I mean there are always like clients who wants to venture. They got the technology. They may be like originally they got like textile businesses. They got like upstream businesses in China, which has the technical expertise that they can bring into Egypt. So yeah, I mean it's very exciting for us to learn more about the incentives as well as the support that we can get from Egypt as a whole, as well as the SE zone as a zone. So yeah, very interesting indeed. Do you want to talk about?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. So, in addition to the places that the delegation went, I also took some time to visit a couple of business entities as well. I went to Alexandria. As you may know, Alexandria is actually a port. I went to Alexandria. I met with some shipping companies, and I also went to see National Bank of Egypt. Had a big successful meeting with Gavi. Okay, and other entities as well. But I think the most important message that I would like to say is basically everyone I talked to in Egypt, all of them said, I really want to trade with China. Really, really want to trade with China. Very, very important. However, they don't know how to use Hong Kong to trade with China. They don't know how to leverage the advantages of Hong Kong to trade with China. So I think that is the major thing that I think probably all of us in the delegation learned, and also opportunities for everyone, every participant here, to know that hey, there are a lot of opportunities to trade with Egypt and how to work together to flourish the trade between China and Egypt via Hong Kong. I mean, as our government always say that we are the bridge between China and the rest of the world. We are a super connector. And we need to increase the awareness of every businessman and professionals on how to leverage Hong Kong to help each other to do business. Trade means both ways. So it be business coming from China through Hong Kong to Egypt, Egypt to Hong Kong to China. Always both ways. Trade is always like that. Okay. So I really, really encourage everyone to really look into the opportunities. And so when I heard that from CG that he is going to organize the first Egypt Expo in Hong Kong, I think this is an absolutely, brilliant idea, because it will certainly increase the awareness of both places about how we can work together in all aspects to benefit each other. I spoke to one businessman on the ground in Egypt. If you have a manufacturing facilities in Egypt, the goods made in Egypt can be sold to the rest of Africa, and very importantly to Europe as well.
And what's the import duty? What is the duty? No duty, right?
We have a
Bilateral tax.
agreements, with Africa and with Europe and the States. Plus the Arab region.
How about that? And I think the added bonus is if you make 60%, up to 60, you can make 100% in Egypt, of course. But if you make, here's my favorite proposition, make as we go there, I talk to friends in Egypt and say, oh, okay, we create a production site here. We create jobs here. We learn from each other, bring some technology, and you share with us your technology. And we create 60% of the content locally in Egypt. Then we sell tax-free to Europe. 40% made in outside jurisdictions like China. And you sell tax-free to the other 14 countries in Asia. So this is the best of both worlds. So that's something we really should explore a bit more.
Yeah, I can supplement that as well, because when we look for a place to set up our production overseas, we always focus on the customs and also taxation. So it's great to learn that, for example, for SE Zone, we are talking about zero customs for all the raw material components when we import into the zone. And also zero VAT as well for imports from local and foreign markets into SE Zone as well. And of course, when we export, then they would have a VAT attached to that. But yeah, I mean, it's very, very favorable for enterprise and clients from PRC and elsewhere. And also, yeah, it also helped that by the fact that we got a 50% corporate tax refund to supplement, which equivalent to 50% of the project investment costs. So these are all things that we can subsidize the client's capital expenditure when they set up their operations in Egypt and SE Zone. So yeah, I mean, this is a very useful, yeah,
very attractive.
And,
and they're more than SE Zone. There are plenty of good places. What about labor costs? How would you compare labor costs in Egypt and Hong Kong? No comparison. You want to answer that? Come on, you have to answer. Go on. From my perspective, so what is the average wage in Hong Kong? Does anyone know? No, a Marani is like a walking computer. What is the average wage? Yeah. Oh, Bill is also a social worker. He might know.
18,000 per month.
18,000 a month. Okay. How does that compare?
I think so. It's around 150 USD.
150 USD. Yeah.
Around 1,000 HKD.
1,000 Hong Kong per month is the average. Hey, look at the the availability of very affordable skilled labor at 1,000 Hong Kong a month. My personal perspective also is as the world or some Western countries are suggesting this part of the world have to do restructure your supply chain, and it happens organically anyway. But we should be more in charge of the reorganization of supply chain. I think if you see great opportunities like this, why not tap into it, right? You make some products over here, it might be hard to export them to Europe or have some ESG tariffs slapped on. Why not make in Egypt, for example, right? So something to think about. So please put your hands together with Norris Yang, who joined us. Yay. Norris, can you share with us what you shared at this occasion, what you learned at this occasion? And who are these people we met? Thank you.
Very, very eye-opening, I must say. First time I've been in Egypt, and of course Cairo. It's a long trip. There doesn't seem to be a direct flight. Is there a direct flight, CG? Soon. Okay. In Cairo, I was speaking about COP29 and environmental sustainable kinds of developments. And of course, I'm very pro-environment, and some of the things that China has been doing, I think, can be replicated in Egypt. Of course, this is going to be on a national government-to-government basis. For example, China has put up some solar panels in the desert, and they found out that by putting the solar panels in the desert, it has created shade on the sand, and it's much easier to water the land under the solar panels and grow things because it's not as hot. And so they found out that there are two advantages to having solar panels in the desert. One is to generate electricity, and in a desert, I suppose the efficiency of solar panels is probably the highest than any other areas. So that would be a added advantage, and then being able to hopefully make it into a semi oasis by having a less hot environment, and for little animals to hide during the day under the shade of the panel. So that's something I think would be very useful. Desalination is very important, and I think maybe solar power with desalination might work very well. It's free electricity, and so you need to pump the water to make sure there's enough pressure to go through the membrane for desalination. So these are things that I think is really important, but on a national level. And of course, nuclear energy is important, and for Egypt, I don't think there's been any bans on nuclear energy, and there are new technologies involving small nuclear stations on a local basis, so that even if there was a meltdown, it wouldn't melt down very far because the amount of uranium is small, and it could power small communities, maybe 10,000 houses or 20,000 houses, and that nuclear plant can be discarded after 20 years and a new one built next to it. The plant will probably be smaller than this room. And these are things that can be explored, and and I don't know if wind power will work in the desert, but wind power might work in the oceans, or wave power, and these are things that would work very well. Now, I noticed that there weren't many electric cars in Egypt, but that requires a grid, electricity grid, an adequate power supply, and I understand that the power supply might be not as in full capacity as in China or Hong Kong, and there are blackouts every now and then. And so if that can be addressed, then solar power could work quite well. Maybe solar power plus either a storage in salt or in hydrogen might work, so that you can still use that to generate electricity at night, and and power some of the cars. Well, I go to Shenzhen a lot, and you know what? The air there is phenomenal because there are very much few internal combustion engine, ICE. There are very less and less ICE cars in Shenzhen already. So air is actually much cleaner than Hong Kong. And so these are things that can be done. Now, Cairo has got a dust problem, which Beijing solved by planting millions and millions of trees around Beijing. So these are things that could work. But you need an oasis, you need water supply, and you need to make sure that they can grow. But again, there's certain technology I heard from Germany where they have a silicone-like, it's like a flower, and you put it into the soil, and it binds the soil, so it's less water permeable. So these are technologies that can work. And then, of course, there are new vegetation that they found that grows really well in the desert, which will also, I can't remember the name of it, agave, something like that. And it also can be used as food, vegetation for people to eat. And maybe it's not the right consistency, but at least it's edible food. And so these are things that can work in the desert, within the desert, because that's you have a huge supply of that. And so these are things I think that can work. Now, in terms of trade or whatever, I have very little knowledge about trade, so I can't tell you much. I really wanted to go to a spice market and buy some spice, but we didn't have time, and certainly I didn't buy any carpets, and I didn't fly around in a carpet either. So that was Cairo for me. I enjoyed it tremendously. The pyramids were fantastic. I enjoyed the tours of the museum because it was narrated. If it wasn't narrated, I would be very bored within 5 minutes. But luckily it was narrated and it was well done. I would love to go back. The food was good. And
How good was it? How good was the sea bass?
the sea bass was very good.
How big was it?
The sea bass was about 2 to 3 kilometers. It's a fish story. You know, you always think,
Okay.
you know, I caught a fish this big. I think it was 3 kilograms.
No,
And-
I think
and
that
that
was
was-
at least, yeah.
Yeah.
A fish that big, not kidding, goes for about how much in a nice restaurant? I think it was 350 Hong Kong.
350 Hong Kong dollars.
That big sea bass.
And we had reasonably good Egyptian wine too. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Yeah. White, red. It was reasonable. And the price was reasonable for sure. Yeah, I mean, I eat every kind of food, so the food there to me was very good, especially the dried dates. I love the dried dates. It's fantastic. And fresh dates. I had some really good fresh dates as well. The red one, the long one. That was really good. The hotel was very exciting.
Okay, yes. Share, tell us.
Well, it was the hotel that was built 100-odd years ago when they opened up the Suez Canal, and the leadership in Egypt decided to build a new hotel to host all the royalty, and they said Napoleon's third wife was there to officiate. And it was very opulent. It was very nice. And then later on, they changed hands. And then in the 70s, they signed a contract with Marriott, and Marriott built two towers on the side. And other than a little bit confusing going from one tower to another, it was very nice. It was very nice. And I practiced my Tai Chi in the foyer near the fountains, and it was good. It was good.
On the screen, you see a lot of Chinese-looking people, and they are. So we found it useful to, when we go to a new country for us, to meet with other locals who've been there before, went there ahead of us, and share with us their stories, how they conduct business, how they get on there. And so we met with, for example, the Egypt branch of the Energy China, some oil, petroleum companies, chemical companies, Three Gorges Green Energy Investment Company, state construction companies, and so on. So there is a large and vibrant Chinese business community there doing a lot of infrastructure work, energy work, and beyond. So things to think about. COP, as you know, is a climate change conference. The 28th session was held last year. This year in November, to be held in Azerbaijan, is the 29th session. So a lot to look forward to. A lot of goals were set last time. This time is about how we realize them. So maybe we'll go to the next slide. Thank you, Norris. Thank you. Feel free to chime in back at any time. So this is in the new capital, where all the government people are, and we met with the Vice Minister of Justice, and he's also designated to deal with lead arbitration in international disputes. Does anyone want to speak to that?
So definitely Egypt has been a very eye-opening experience. The whole trip, in fact, is a very eye-opening experience. It's certainly my very first time of visiting Africa. And Egypt in particular, I find has a lot of cultural heritage, but at the same time, it was also really good to be visiting the Ministry of Justice in the new capital, and and learn about the rule of law development in Egypt. And at the same time, I being more focused on technology, disputes, etc. I also took the opportunity to give some introduction about how Hong Kong, being a free data center jurisdiction, having relatively simple rules and laws on data transfer, could actually serve as a good center for any potential data and Web3 related development with Egypt. And I find that particularly with the development of the new capital, maybe the development of technology, data, blockchain-related matters could also be something on the radar for Egypt's development. So that would be my sharing.
So you see on the screen on the left side, the main big picture is mostly the minister and judges and their staff. So they came out in full force, and they were very happy to share with us some new opportunities, new plans. And they have put their hand up to be the dispute resolution center for Belt and Road issues. So, or for BRICS issues, I'm sorry, BRICS issues. So they've recently had a BRICS conference, as you know. So let's go. Does anyone have questions about laws in Egypt or?
Yes. So do they practice common law or civil law?
Civil law. I think they're civil law. Unlike South Africa is common law. Yeah.
Civil law. Okay. Any other questions so far? Have we missed anything? John?
But they practice the Islamic law, right? What is the difference?
Do you want to comment?
No, the Islamic law only governing the family issues, family relations. All the law is come in the context of the Sharia, but it already has its own civil codes, if we can, because we took it from the French law. So shouldn't disagree with the Sharia, but it's already civil and commercial law. But Sharia only governs the family issues.
AALCO has a sister center in Cairo. So one of the reasons we went there. So other focus of the meetings, including talking about how to use Hong Kong as the disputes resolution hub, the availability of lawyers, professionals here to help improve trade and resolve disputes. Shall we move to the next slide, where I'll invite Herman and Rodney to talk about risk management and business development in the presence of a geopolitical storm. This is, as Herman mentioned, GAFI. Maybe I'll let Herman go first to explain who's GAFI, who we've met, and what are the achievements.
Basically,
Thank you.
GAFI is, I forgot the full name of GAFI, but basically it's the counterpart
General
of IMS.
Authority for Investment.
Thank you. So they are actually the counterpart of IMS Hong Kong. So IMS Hong Kong promote Hong Kong to overseas businesses and investors, and GAFI promote Egypt to overseas investors and businessmen. So there was actually a lot of interactions, and they had a full house. I mean, as you can see, a lot of businessmen and government representatives were there, and also the head of the Sovereign Wealth Fund of Egypt was also there. So I think basically, in addition to we exchange the investment environment or the business environment of two places, we also discuss how we could work together to flourish the trade. As I said, the most important thing is to flourish the trade between the two places, as the awareness of using Hong Kong and also using Egypt or Cairo, not people know about it. And maybe the big companies or the early investor from Egypt into China or China into Egypt, they would know how to do it. But I would say bulk of the businessmen and corporates, they don't. But they know that they need to do business with China. I mean, China need to do business with Egypt. So I would say there's a lot to opportunities. And I can tell you that, I mean, at this moment, most of the companies from China investing in Egypt would be the state-owned enterprises. okay, at this moment. But think about the private companies from China. They haven't even started yet. Maybe they have started, but I would not say it's just the beginning. So, how to when China, the private companies start to invest in this part of the world, you can imagine the flow would be how big it's going to be, and of course vice versa as well. You know, um, from Egypt, in addition to manufacturing, there will be a lot of agricultural products. Uh, I enjoy the mango very much. I mean, the mango juice was actually the best I ever had. It's a specialty from Egypt. And of course, in addition to that, I mean, there will be a lot of many other agricultural products as well. And some of them would be, very delicate. And they need to be handled carefully, you know. So this is something that we can both work on as well. I mean, because they would require air cargo rather than the normal shippings, because of for the delicacies. And then when I visited Alexandria, when I talked to the shipping companies again, how to use the Suez Canal, come around the southern tip of India or Sri Lanka, and come all the way to China, Hong Kong. This is another thing that they need to explore. They would like to explore. Okay, and one more thing is actually we went to CRCICCA and talk about the antiques and art. And I explained to the audience over there that Hong Kong is also a art and cultural place. And I'm sure that the museums in Hong Kong probably have hosted some art fair for Egypt's culture already. There should be more, okay? And also art trading is also very popular in Hong Kong. We have all the big auction houses in Hong Kong. And as Egyptian art is actually very popular all around the world, and maybe traditionally they have been trading, they are being traded in Europe or in particular UK. There are a lot of investors now in Asia, and they should also be exploring in this part of the world. For example, that recently a painting by Van Gogh was sold in Hong Kong at a record price of 33 million US dollar, the highest ever in Asia. So it's just one of the examples that Asian investors are also now become very passionate in art as well, and they can be very big art collectors. So all these opportunities, I'm trying to tell as much as I could on the ground to stimulate the interest for everyone to try to know more, to learn more. Okay, there's
We have to be very careful with Egyptian antiquities because some of them would be, if the provenance is not properly recorded, it might not be a good idea to buy Egyptian antiquities. Am I correct? And I was very glad to hear that Egypt has repatriated many pieces, 20,000 pieces, I think, something like that, from European museums, and that's something that perhaps could be working together with the Chinese government, as there are tens of thousands or hundred thousands of pieces of very valuable antiquities in London, in Paris, in Germany, and even in Toronto. The Royal Ontario Museum in Toronto, I believe, hosts the largest number of antiques from China. Maybe not the most valuable, but the largest number. So these are things that I think country to country would be a very valuable kind of alliance working together. I'm sure Greece would love that as well, and all of the Middle East would love that, and India, I'm sure.
Sorry, I have to steal the mic. Just one more thing that I mentioned at the meeting in Gavi, and also my meeting with National Bank of Egypt as well, is the use of renminbi to trade. Okay, I think this is very clear that between China and African countries, or the BRICS, I mean, one Belt One Road, I mean, different alliances, allies, and so. The use of renminbi to trade is going to become more and more popular. So, and again, I mean, how to use Hong Kong as a place to trade between the two places using renminbi is also one of my key points to talk to all the audiences in Egypt as well.
I understand the BRICS protocol for currency is that one can use the local currency of each of the BRICS membership. So it doesn't have to be renminbi, but because of the flexibility and because I think many countries' largest trade partner is China. Hong Kong is basically a tax-free jurisdiction, even though we do collect some tax, but because the income tax and the profits tax is really so low and so easy to understand, well, much easier than any other country that I know of, that we have no capital gains tax, there's no interest tax, there's no dividend tax, what else? No estate duty tax.
Yeah, we've got a very simple tax system.
Relatively simple. So Hong Kong can be used as a tax haven, sort of. And
still
also,
pay tax.
yeah, you still pay tax, but there's no. If income is derived overseas, there's no tax. It's only income derived in Hong Kong.
Yeah, profits.
And because of CEPA, which is the special agreement we have with China, Hong Kong companies enjoy special tax benefits in China when the Hong Kong company invests in China. So that's something that's really important as well.
Sorry, follow on from that. Our friends from the other part of the world is interested to hear if you use a holding company in Hong Kong to hold your investment company in mainland China, operating company in China, as the operating company in China dividend up the dividend from China to Hong Kong, and then from Hong Kong to other parts of the world, effectively save about 5% dividend withholding tax than if they were to invest directly into mainland China. So something interesting. I would suggest maybe Rodney to share a few words, and then CM Chan, the immediate past president of the Law Society of Hong Kong, has just landed in Beijing and is got online and is going to share a few thoughts about his travel with us on the delegation throughout in Africa. Rodney.
Yes, well, as a Hong Kong corporate finance practitioner, I mean, Hong Kong as a jurisdiction is actually very efficient for us in terms of setting up our offshore structure. I mean, we have talked about the tax. Norris has already talked about it, so I'm not going to repeat that. But yeah, I mean, always having a Hong Kong company incorporated into the structure is always makes the structure more tax efficient and also minimize a lot of legal issues as well. I think yeah, the exchanges that we have with Gavi is very beneficial because yeah, it's facilitate our conversation in terms of learning more about the incentives.
Golden license, what does it mean from Gavi?
They would award like golden license to particular project which has national or otherwise strategic significance. So I mean, they didn't necessarily restrict these licenses to national or local projects, but also available to foreign investors as well, foreign projects as well. Some of them are mixed as well. So I mean, it's very encouraging for us to know about that. And also during the conference, I talked about the need to do risk management, because yeah, for foreign investors like PRC investors, it's actually quite daunting for them to go into a new market. So we as practitioners would really want to minimize the risks involved. Yeah, I mean,
how do you minimize that? What dispute resolution clause do you use?
Well, arbitration, right?
And
Alcohol, yeah, alcohol. Yeah. And mediation as well. Because you are expecting mediation. Yeah. So yeah, of course we don't really. Sometimes we just don't want to go to dispute resolution. So I mean, the mediators and arbitrator will hate me to say that.
No, we love you.
But yes, we also deal with a lot of things before litigation or dispute resolution. So we are talking about setting up a efficient structure in terms of legally compliant structure, as well as a tax efficient structure. So yeah, I mean sometimes we incorporate like foreign jurisdictions like Cayman Islands and BVI, as well as Hong Kong. These are all jurisdictions that is in which foreign investor is quite familiar with. So they are it's readily acceptable to them to use this kind of jurisdiction for our setup.
Actually, in Egypt, what I hear is they find it strange that people would still use BVI in Cayman as holding company. But they of course very happy to use Hong Kong. But I wouldn't call it a tax haven. Norris. Please continue. Sorry.
Yeah, and then we talk about the need to do due diligence, because we just wasn't familiar with the local laws and regulations. So we as investors would also want to make sure that we comply with the local laws in terms of getting the necessary registration.
And you've built a network of local lawyers now, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely. We went to see the Bar Association of Egypt as well. And then of course we want to make sure we got the business license in place as well. We don't want to proceed to commercial production before we get the license.
But golden license is a one-stop shop license. Cut all the red tapes. You have that. You don't need any other license. You good. You go. It's a project approval.
And then when we talk about like allocating the risks and duties between the parties, these are all like we're talking about like contract drafting, documentation. So I mean just to make sure that everyone know what they are going to perform. Sometimes of course the investor had to provide the funds, but then local partners we would also want this support from the local partners in terms of the local networking, or also like to ensure that we have all the supplier and customers network in place as well. So these are all things that we want to ensure. And then I mean post-investment management as well. I mean investors would want to get a return from their investment as well. So we want to make sure that when we proceed to when we close the investment round, then we want to make sure that the project is generating a return.
But within here, moving money out is a problem. It's free flow, right? So maybe for time, let's bring up CM, who's in Beijing.
Before we bring up CM, I thought it was very interesting to visit the Law Society. They introduced the president of the Law Society as His Excellency.
Okay, let's bring out His Excellency. Yes. His Excellency, are you there?
You hear me?
Yes, Your Excellency. Yes.
Thank you at the airport. So sorry I couldn't try to review tonight. But I mean just a very quick report. I think there are a number of firsts for this unique trip. Number one is it's the largest contingent from Hong Kong legal sector to both Egypt and South Africa. This is the first part. We have very senior partners of international firms, local firms, medium-sized firms, and also from the in-house representative. So a very, very unique composition as well. You were saying that yes, we did actually meet up with the Egyptian Bar Association at the very historic building, and this is a very important occasion for them. After we actually signed an MOU, the Hong Kong Law Society signed an MOU with the Egyptian Bar Association, and afterwards I received a number of messages saying that they were really grateful. This is the first time they got in touch with the Bar Association from Asia. So it's also the first time for the Egyptian bar. So well done, and for all of us. For the South African trip, my practice area is private clients. I do family offices work. So they were really interested in setting up family offices in Hong Kong. And that's why they were asking for a number of documents, leaflets, so that they can promote the South African high net worth individuals to come to Hong Kong and work.
Thank you, CM, for joining us from Beijing Airport. Let's move on. Then Herman already talked about CERSICA, which is a CRCICA, which is our sister organization in Egypt. But maybe show some photos to see if there's anything else to add. It was a very good conference. We flew there. They physically held the conference there. I think we have about 150 people there, but online we have several hundred more. And people joining from Hong Kong remotely and physically on the ground. We also handed out some of our empanelment certificates for arbitrators of AALCO, Hong Kong, there to a judge. So he was very kind and generous, and we had a good exchange. Met many good lawyers and dispute resolvers there. They're all very keen to learn from Albert about EBRAM's online dispute resolution system. Maybe how we could they could license it from you, and we talked about unique advantages of using Hong Kong as a gateway to China and the rest of the region, and the reverse, how to use Egypt as a gateway for deal making and dispute resolution to to Africa, Egypt, Arab states, and Europe. Cape Town, beautiful scenic Cape Town. You can see the Table Mountain, which is where some religion believe it's where God have his meal. Table Mountain, naturally cut out like this. So on the left of the photo, it's Mr. Mongono Moshalifa. Yes, the Consul General of South Africa in Hong Kong, and he traveled with us throughout the journey, and there we met with these people. Black Women Business Chamber West Grove, which is the kind of the government, but the western side of South Africa's government, so to speak, West Grove, and High Sense, West Cape government, banks, journalists, people in production industry, all sorts. Very useful meeting. And actually, I should say, you see Albert there having a good smile on the bottom right-hand side. Albert de Rosa, he's keenly sought after, and wherever we go, the Portuguese community went to get his signature and chase after him for networking and so on. Here we talked about the rise of ODR and other law tech for international disputes resolution, and the star of the show, one of them is of course Albert, and they're very keen to listen to how we do things. There was the judge that heads up labor disputes, judge that heads up leasing, right? So they were very interested in our legal system, and we exchanged knowledge. Of course, we're interested in theirs as well. We had a meeting, a very high-level meeting with the actual Minister of Small Business. Kind of, I guess, in a way, it's the Algernon Yao equivalent, in a way, right? Herman?
Yes.
Yeah. So as you know, in Hong Kong, 98% of companies are small, medium enterprises. And in other parts of the world, it's pretty much the same, percentage-wise. So when they talked about Minister of Small Business, it's a lot of businesses. It's not small, so to speak. And small businesses make up about 35% of international trade. And they're there. The lady to my right, but from you to your left of me, we had a very good dialogue. She meant business, of course, and very direct, very frank, and asked about how we could work together, how we can collaborate. And when my colleagues here mentioned about power blackout, I didn't experience any blackout in Egypt, but we experienced some in South Africa. And they just had an election, 100 days into the new government. The National Unity, which is the lead political party there, they had 60% majority rating, then 50, now 40. But just before the elections, they had a lot of backup. So that didn't help the elections. But so 100 days into the new government, joint government, what they need, what they hope to see is more collaboration investment from this part of the world, and where we bring in investments and businesses, work with the locals, and it is said that maybe in the future you can't just buy the minerals from the ground. You have to go and refine them there. So if you have clients who are in the business of helping with that, then it's a good time to connect them. Okay, Johannesburg, we jumped into a kind of like a choir competition, and so we you should see our team uniform is white shirt, apart from Winnie. Winnie, we introduced everyone, but you came in slightly late because of your meeting. Winnie from Sinopec. Hello, this is Winnie. Thank you. So Winnie is part of the delegation went on the trip, and you always want Winnie with you on the trip because she is so knowledgeable and knows everything. We were there to, this is Freedom Park, at the top of the hill of Freedom Park. And you know, read about apartheid, learn about the history. One of the reasons why they lodged a complaint or filed motion against Israel is because they feel strongly. It's not because any other country urged them to do so. They feel so strongly about it, and they did so themselves. And here, we're so warm, we're going to actually take our own photo. And then the locals were sitting there behind. They just had finished a choir competition. And I waved at them and suggest them to come out. They all sort of jumped and danced and walked out, and joined us for the photo. And then he held, at least held my hand. Some of the men held my hand for a long time. And then
Also mine.
also yours. Yes. Now I can see why they held his hand. And talk a long time and want to take a lot of pictures with us. So kind, very kind people, very nice. But good impression-wise, right? Going to Johannesburg, keep going. Okay, here we were going to meet at a different building. This is people from the Ministry of Justice, Solicitor General and his colleague, her colleagues. We met in AALCO AALCO annual session in Thailand, and then she was very kind, follow up, and after that we had this meeting over there. We were meant to be on the 17th floor of Ministry of Justice. Of course, the power didn't allow us to do it, electricity. So a quick change, and we went to kind of like the foreign ministry, and it was a good meeting, good discussion. And let's see, can I maybe invite Philip to say a few words?
Sure. So I guess speaking about power, we did have experienced a short time of power shortage during this meeting. And I guess this actually signifies that maybe power infrastructure development is one of the big
challenges
and opportunities.
Yes.
And that is something that we could certainly, and Chinese enterprises could explore in together with these sort of enterprises. Then, of course, AALCO-HKRAC could serve as the arbitration center for any such disputes. It's a really huge venue and very great setting to each of us to explain, how we may collaborate in terms of technology. For South Africa, it looks very different from Egypt, from my personal point of view, more westernized style. The interesting thing is, of course, it's also a common law system. I also learned that they still have this solicitor barrister profession, so it's very similar to Hong Kong. So I guess in terms of even legal collaboration and data related, they also have data protection laws. So there are a lot of areas that can be explored.
Thank you, Philip. Any questions about meeting with the ministers there? If not, we continue. Oh, I should say, South Africa. What was the first impression as the car rolled in? Does it feel like South Africa, or does it feel like some other country? No, it feels like any other Western country, really, isn't it? Especially Cape Town.
I actually drove from Johannesburg to Sun City, which is 2.5, 3 hour drive. And I thought the roads were fantastic, even then in the 1980s, late 1980s. And it felt like I was driving in Australia or Canada because the roads were very wide, except that they didn't have any street lamps. And because I was driving a white Volkswagen van, people were going up to the road and going like this in front of the car. So I drove in the middle of the 2 lanes, and they still do that. And then I found out that I was driving a white Volkswagen minibus, and it's actually the minibuses that they have in South Africa, that people go from town to town. So that's why they were doing that. I was quite scared initially. I thought we were going to be robbed. So my impression then was it was very modern, even in, this is still during apartheid in the 80s, before the ANC were elected. And so I was able to stay in Johannesburg at the Johannesburg Hilton, which if I mention it to any South African in Johannesburg, they say, wow, that was a long time ago, because it's no longer safe to stay at the Johannesburg Hilton of those days. In Cape Town, we went to, Council General took us to a local dining place where they have entertainment with African music, and that was very enjoyable. Yeah.
Thank you, Norris. Okay, so let's see. Next, okay, here. We went to the South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry called SACI. SACI, it's, I mean, if you know the Hong Kong framework, it's easier if I can relate it. Hong Kong, with the Hong Kong General Chamber of Commerce established in 1861, we also had the Federation of Hong Kong Industries for industries. So in the 1960s, that was established. The then government sort of encouraged, put together all the trade industry associations, all of them, industry associations, into one. So today, the Federation of Hong Kong Industries have 33 sectors, and they're all part of one body which is set up by ordinance, by law. They are both combined. Both the Chamber of Commerce, Hong Kong Chamber of Commerce, and the FHKI combined by law. Basically, their members are mostly just associations, but together they can reach all the businesses in South Africa. So very important organization for you to meet when you visit South Africa, SACI. A really good meeting, and they really welcomed the delegation from Hong Kong. They haven't had one, as our colleagues have mentioned, and this will be a start of many. I hope not only AALCO go back, but other chambers, other businesses will go. Oh, I should also say, of course, from the Hong Kong General Chamber of Commerce, yes, and you are head of the.
No, you used to be the head of HR.
Yes, that's right. So if you have any questions about that, he's the man to go to. Yes, thank you, my chairman. Yes. Okay. Yeah, Nick, so if you have clients who wish to do business there, you could work with us or Hong Kong General Chamber of Commerce and work with friends there to get connected. Next slide, please. Oh, yes, Winnie.
I'll start by introducing myself first. I'm Winnie J. I'm Senior In-House Counsel at Sinopec Century Bright. We're the only overseas treasury center of Sinopec Group, the global Fortune 500 company focused on energy. And today I'll be speaking with Rodney on structuring international business transactions. And I think Rodney is very experienced in corporate finance and mergers and acquisitions work. So he'll delve deeper into the structure of a business transaction. And I'll be speaking on my knowledge of the chambers of commerce in South Africa and Hong Kong. and also on an overview of the industry sectors in South Africa. So next slide. Chambers of Commerce in South Africa. So we visited the South Africa Chamber of Commerce, the voice of business in South Africa, with representing 20,000 businesses in South Africa. And they grouped together 35 constituent chambers in South Africa. They lobby for the collective local and foreign interests of South African businesses. And they've signed MOUs with China, the IFC, and World Bank. But notably, they haven't signed any trade agreements or MOUs with Hong Kong. So Mr. Herman J. here can link up. Next slide. Actually, Nick sits on the Asia-Africa Committee of the Hong Kong General Chamber of Commerce. I just found out.
No, my
And
chairman's here.
yeah, so yes, so both gentlemen will be the connecting point if any Hong Kong businesses want to invest into South Africa. And actually, the HK General Chamber of Commerce will be celebrating its 165th anniversary next year, and Mr. Nick Chan has kindly invited the SACI to join in the anniversary celebrations next year. This image is actually of an Understanding Africa seminar held by the Hong Kong General Chamber of Commerce in October this year with Her Excellency Princess Seleni Delmini. Okay, next slide. This is me with Mr. Nelson Mandela's image at the international airport in Johannesburg. So he's the one who freed South Africa from apartheid. So next slide is about the industry sectors in Johannesburg. The province is Gauteng. The biggest sector is in finance, real estate, and business services, which makes up a quarter of the province's economy. And in finance, we especially visited the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, which Rodney will talk about further. Next slide.
Yes, we also, when we talk about SACI, talk to counterparts like SACI, they also talk about things that was quite relevant to us as petitioners. They talk about like having the need by law that we need to have local partners. They use a term called South African token partners, essentially meaning that like in terms of shareholdings, we would need to have at least like 30%, which come from South Africa partners. And also, they also mentioned about like having the need to employ. In terms of the workforce, we need like at least 60% local workforce. So this would be a challenge as well as an opportunity for like foreign investors from PRC and elsewhere. So I mean. We actually welcome like local partners to collaborate in terms of a project. Because they always bring the local expertise, networking, and also they're essentially a guide to the foreign investors in terms of going into a new jurisdiction, in a new country to develop the local capacity over there. So I mean it's all very, very interesting for us. We also, visited Huawei, which is, everyone knows that they are the largest PRC communication conglomerate. They show us around in the showroom, showing us about the latest invention and technologies that they have, mobiles and smart technology, etc., Internet of Things, etc. So it's very, very useful for us in terms of for us petitioners when we are really thinking about bringing clients to go global, and also learning about the legal requirements over there. Thank you.
I think for Huawei, a notable aspect of Chinese investments into South Africa is that we, as you mentioned, we need at least 60% African labor force. And that's also what we do at Sinopec. The relevant labor law is the Black Empowerment Employment Act, and it's a law which punishes if you don't meet the requirements. So at Sinopec, we have 33 projects across 13 African countries, including in oil and gas investments, petroleum engineering, and refining services. And for our African employees, we encourage cultural diversity, and also we share about our Chinese cultures as well. For example, we celebrate Mid-Autumn Festival in Africa, in our African businesses. And also we help to build the community, including building bridges and roads in Nigeria and Nairobi. Thank you.
Thank you, Winnie and Ronnie. Can I invite Consul General to say a few words before your next meeting? Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. I just want to express my heartfelt gratitude and appreciation for you and for the members of all the delegation. I'm really delighted that we could make this visit happen, and in this way, I never thought it would be that big. And as you mentioned, and that's considered the largest delegation coming from Hong Kong to Egypt, and that's what I've been working in. The moment I received my mission here in Hong Kong, I'm working on this kind of delegations, because I do believe this kind of delegation that's the real cooperation between the cooperation should be between our two regions, especially Hong Kong and Egypt. And yes, Hong Kong is super connected to China, and we have to make benefit of this. So that's the benefit of sending more or exchanging more visits between the two sides, to feature Egypt and Hong Kong, and to feature Hong Kong in Egypt. And I hope that to be the beginning, and we have to work together to make more visits to come between the two sides. And I need you to help me as well, Nick and all your team, to push here and the investors for sure, to work on together to send more official delegation, more senior officials to go there to Egypt, to see things on the ground firsthand, as you already witnessed there. Yes, Egypt, we have old civilization, but as you saw, plus the old civilization, we have so many opportunities in all levels. So we have to work on together. I'm here ready, as you see. If you need anything, I'm ready to help and to provide any facilities you want. And at the end, thank you very much again, and I hope to see you soon again in Cairo. Thank you.
Your Excellency, I thought that it was extremely efficient to have 5 or 6 meetings the first day and the only day we had in Cairo. It was tough on us. He was like a slave driver.
Before he came, I didn't see who complained.
But I think it was so efficient, and it must be all your hard work arranging all these meetings to be coincided and with such a...
He moved mountains and pyramids.
Yes. To have done so many meetings, organized so many meetings within such a short period of time.
My pleasure.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, next slide. Maybe, Philip, do you want to say a few things here?
So this is another very important event that we attended. It was a luncheon that was in one of the also very great Marriott Hotel. And it was in this seminar that a number of quite distinguished legal practitioners in South Africa who have come to share on some of the latest developments in arbitration, litigation, including some of the very big arbitration disputes in the meeting. And then we also gave some sharing on mediation, development of ADR and also arbitration, etc., etc. So it was all very fascinating, particularly all the case laws about all these cases where you get the award and then you get drawn into all sorts of set aside applications. So these are some of the matters that there are certainly lots of relevance and collaboration in South Africa and Hong Kong, because once the award has to be enforced by the New York Convention in different jurisdictions, you actually face also all the challenges in the different jurisdictions on enforcement. Not mentioned, of course, are also there are also laws and regulations of enforcement in the mainland. It's something that I think is South Africa and Hong Kong, as well as the mainland. There are still a lot of potential collaboration that can be done, and also in terms of dispute resolution, choice of arbitration venue, etc. I think Hong Kong is obviously also a very well suited jurisdiction for such disputes.
Thank you, Philip. Next slide, please, Jolie. This is the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. Maybe Rodney, would you have the honors?
Yeah, sure. I do corporate finance, so I do IPOs and listings. So this is of a particular interest to me. Of course, local businesses would really want to, they would gravitate towards a domestic stock exchange listing. But then we also talk about the Hong Kong Stock Exchange being the premium listing venue, globally acknowledged, and obviously we do have an edge in terms of attracting global and institutional investors. And also, we got a very big biotech venue in terms of fundraising. But then we also got a section, got a chapter in our listing rules which cater with mineral companies. South Africa is really big in terms of mining. So this is probably something. Well, I think they are actually pre-profit. That particular chapter cater with mineral companies which is still in exploration or exploration stages, which essentially means that they are pre-profit stages, to allow them to get a listing on the main board of the stock exchange, so long as they can demonstrate a successful path to commercial production. So they are quite interested in that. So I will leave it right there.
At the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, I also mentioned that Hong Kong is going to have an international exchange for trading metals, in particular gold, precious metal, and that actually stimulated a lot of interest from the local mining companies in South Africa. As you probably know, that South Africa is one of the largest gold producer in the world, and actually I don't have it here, but when I was in Africa with the delegation, I did have a chart showing a lot of the BRICS countries buying gold. They are actually the biggest buyers of gold now, and you, as you can probably notice, the price of gold has gone up 35% so far this year. So something to watch out for.
I also mentioned about some recent projects of mine. I got a project where the controlling shareholders, the parent company is a Shanghai listed company who actually invests into Indonesia quite some time ago, like more than 5 years ago. They got their production facility all set up, and then they are now thinking about, well, not thinking about, but actually doing it, trying to take the Indonesian business to get a listing in Hong Kong. So this is a spin-off for the A-share company, and then trying to get a listing in Hong Kong. So yeah, it's still proceeding, but so I have to maintain a lower profile of the project. But I mean, when I talk about this case, they are obvious. It's quite obvious, very obvious to me that they are quite excited about the opportunities. The fact that like investor can go into, like, for example, South Africa, build up the production capacity, and then get that business listed in like African or Hong Kong Stock Exchange. So yeah.
So with only about 10 minutes left, conscious of time, 8 minutes left, can I suggest for, let's see if there's is there questions from the audience? If not, I would invite fellow members of the delegation who haven't spoken yet to share a few words. Maybe Albert, would you mind saying a few words?
Thank you. Perhaps let me share something about my two-side trips, because I left the main delegation and went on a side trip on my own to go to church in Cairo. And with that, I had to exchange money. And then afterwards, I had to get Uber and come back. My experience was that in doing the exchange through the ATM machine, I asked for help from just a passerby, and he just actually stayed with me throughout and helped me throughout the process. That's the hospitality that I got from the Egyptian, just a normal Egyptian. And then after I went to church, I came out, I snooped around a little bit and then tried to call my Uber. And then I found that somehow the addresses appearing on the phone doesn't seem to link to anything. So I look around and ask for help. Then there was this couple, and they were very helpful. And they pointed me to exactly where to state the address for the Uber, and then they stayed with me until the car came. That is the hospitality that I got from Egypt. That is how open Egypt was, and that is something which I learned from my own personal experience by this trip. Right? The other thing I want to share about is my other excursion in South Africa, because part of my agenda was to link up Hong Kong as part of the gateway for the Greater Bay Area for promotion of trade and investment from China and Hong Kong to the rest of the world. And with this, I actually obtained assistance from my friends in Macau for the Lusophone connection, and that is why we had some of the visitors in South Africa. And I was lucky enough to be able to have this audience with my Portuguese ambassador in Pretoria. And then with this, I got some information, and I can disclose that as of today, actually, I had a rather long conversation with some representative from the South African and Central African Chamber of Commerce, who I met during the trip, promoting this possibility of investment into that area, including Angola and Mozambique. Of course, Mozambique is less stable these days, but then these are the possibilities that is created, and especially this connection and the opportunity to discuss and connect that I've got through this trip. Thank you.
Thank you. Would Bill like to say a few words?
My name is Bill Tong. What I found is that Bill Tong Bill Tong
is famous.
Is very famous, and
everyone knows Bill Tong.
Yeah, everyone knows me in that trip, and so we also found some Bill Tong meat in Hong Kong. If you can bring the Bill Tong meat.
Bill Tong is a very famous beef jerky brand in that part of the world.
Famous brand in South Africa. If we can bring the South famous food to Hong Kong and China, and then we can invest money in Africa. That is a very good trade.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you so much. Locke, would you like to share a few thoughts?
Hi, I'm Locke. I think I have 2 points to share from the trip. So I think the first point, as Herman has said, when we were in South Africa, the locals, they emphasize that they have a very lucrative mining business. So they keep saying that the Chinese could invest there, and they could also have shipping opportunities or mining disputes or mining business that may require the Chinese counterparts to collaborate on. So I think the second point that this leads to is I think it was in the conference at Marriott in Johannesburg. We were asked by 2 ladies who were directly asking if they somehow have disputes between the South African companies and the Chinese counterparts. Is the Chinese counterparts going to accept having the dispute resolved in South Africa? And we took the opportunity to say that this is exactly one of the very reason why AALCO was set up, is to provide a neutral forum, a platform for people to resolve the disputes in a place that runs common law and have lawyers who can do Chinese or English. So I think this trip is going to prove to be very useful, to be instrumental when the South African business and the Hong Kong Chinese businesses collaborate in the future.
Thank you, Locke.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll declare I haven't paid him a cent. No, it's so kind of him. Albert, would you like to share some thoughts?
Hi, thanks, Nick. Thanks, everyone. I'm one of the non-lawyer to join the AALCO African trip. I can see Hong Kong people actually very advanced in using technology to apply IT on fintech and even law tech. So nowadays, I understand some of the participants from Egypt, South Africa, they're interested to know Hong Kong actually EBAM to leverage technology to build ODR platform. We not only leverage IT to deliver the ODR for AALCO.
Online dispute resolution platform.
Yeah, online dispute resolution platform. We use ODR, not only AI can help to remove the language barrier, because every party can use our own languages to talk to each other, and the system can have real-time transcript and also real-time translation. And now we are doing generative AI to summarize what we have taught during the arbitration, and even have some AI features to help the arbitrator to write arbitral award. So I think using technologies in Hong Kong, we are now building a law tech center and leverage technology with AALCO network can help BRICS and BRICS countries use ADR to do dispute resolution more efficient.
Thank you, Albert. With that, if there are no questions, maybe we'll just leave earlier and have some mingling time amongst ourselves. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for joining us online. Thank you very much. Please put your hands together again. Thank you all. Thank you.